Explain like I'm 5. What exactly happened with GameStop stocks a few months ago? I understand the scandal when trading platforms pulled the listing to prevent people from buying and selling the stock. I just don't really get the whole short squeeze thing or how it works. Best analogy I've ever heard was one that used Pokémon cards. Went something like this. Say we have a few people interested in buying and selling rare Pokémon cards. For the sake of the analogy, let's say that all of these cards are perfectly identical, and are indestructible, so they are all in the same exact condition. So there is no reason why you'd ever want one card over another if they're both copies of the same card. None of these cards are one of a kind. They're rare, there's not a whole lot of them, but there's only so many. Almost always less of them than there are people who would like to own them. So they fetch a pretty price on eBay. As people buy and sell these cards, their prices go up and down. If on one day, a lot of people woke up and suddenly decided they wanted a fancy holographic Charizard card, and they all logged on to eBay to discover that only 3 people were selling, those sellers could take advantage of the high demand and raise the prices to make more money. Then, later on another day, say some collector decided it was time to sell their collection. So they dump a box of 100 holographic Charizard cards onto eBay all at once. But only 20 people are willing to buy one at the price it used to be at. Now that collector has 80 cards they want to be rid of, but no one is buying them, so they have to lower the sell price to entice more people to buy. Point being, the price can swing up and down for a lot of reasons. Say you're a person who doesn't really care about owning the cards. You just want to make money. If you're smart, you can play this market and try to ride the ups and downs in a way where you profit. The most straightforward way is the classic and intuitive, buy low, sell high strategy. If you think the price of a card will go up in value soon, you buy some while the price is still low. You hang on to them until the price is higher, and then you sell them back off, pocketing the difference. That's pretty straightforward to understand. But there's also a way to make money when the value goes down, surprisingly. This is what shorting is. To do this, instead of buying a card, you go to someone who already owns one. You ask them, hey, can I borrow this from you for a little bit? I'll give it back in 2 weeks. If they trust you, they'll probably say, sure, and give it to you. You then go onto the open market and sell it for whatever it was worth that day. Then, you wait 2 weeks, hoping the price will drop. Once the 2 weeks are up, you buy a new card back from the open market, and give it back to the person you borrowed it from. Remember, in this analogy all cards are completely 100% identical. So your friend doesn't care that you did this, all they care about is that you bring back the card like you promised. If in that 2 weeks' time, the card's value fell, then you would have sold it off high, and bought it back when it was low. It's still the buy low, sell high strategy, but you did it in reverse order this time, and thus you were able to profit from the value going down instead of up. Edit. And to make it worth the while of the person you borrowed from, you give them a piece of the profit you made. Or you give them a flat fee. Just like the standard buy low, sell high strategy, there is a risk involved here. If you bought a card hoping its value goes up, but it actually goes down, you lose money. Similarly, if you try to short sell a card, hoping its price will go down, but it actually goes up, you will also lose money. But there's 2 caveats here that make the short selling route a lot riskier. When you predict wrong on a card's value going up, you still have the card. You can just hunker down and wait as long as you need for the card's value to actually go up. This is what makes long-term investments like retirement accounts mostly low-risk investments, as they can wait out bad spells. With the short-selling strategy, though, you are bound to a promised a time and date where you have to return that borrowed card. If you don't, it could be catastrophic legal trouble for you. So if you predict the value will go down, and it doesn't, and you hit that deadline of your agreement, it's tough nuts for you. You gotta buy that card back no matter what it happens to cost at that point. If you buy a card hoping its value will go up, and it doesn't, the absolute worst case scenario is that the card becomes completely valueless. The most you will ever be out is how much you paid to buy the card. With a short sell, though, there is no limit to how much a card can go up in value while you're in the middle of borrowing it. It could double in value, triple in value, go up 10x in value, go up 1000x in value. You could potentially lose out on many orders of magnitude the original value of the card you initially sold off when you're forced to buy it back. So, that's short selling. Just replace Pokémon cards with stocks. What does this have to do with GameStop? GameStop is a store that many business investors looked and saw it as struggling. On the brink of totally failing. So a lot of people with loads of money and loads of connections were trying to short sell its stocks, because they were betting GameStop's value would go down soon, by a lot. That is, they went to people who had GameStop stock, asked if they could borrow it, and sold them to other people, expecting that they could buy those borrowed stocks back later after the prices fell. They were doing this so hard that they were even on multiple layers of short selling. A stock would be borrowed, sold off, and then it would be borrowed again from the person who bought it, and sold a second time. They were all in to make bank on GameStop prices crashing. One pesky wrinkle, though. What if GameStop's stock prices didn't fall? What if they went up? Well, then you'd have a bunch of investors scared shitless that they might actually lose money, so they will all scramble to buy the stocks back before the losses pile up. But that mad scramble of everyone trying to buy just makes the stock price go up faster, because they'll all be fighting to buy and no one is selling. This was made an order of magnitude worse by the borrowing within borrowing they were doing, which created the really awkward situation of there being literally more investors trying to buy back the stock than there were stocks in existence. All it took was a spark to cause this to occur. Some clever Redditors noticed the situation and decided to kick a hornet's nest. They got together, bought several of GameStop stocks, which caused the price to go up. This spooked some of the investors, who bought some of their stocks back to try and minimize the damage, which only made the stock price go up more, which spooked more investors, which caused more panic, which made the price go up, and, well. Edit. This didn't actually happen, see below. This is what a short squeeze is. When someone in the market notices that a stock is shorted way beyond what it's safe to do so, and they touch off the powder keg to cause a stock's price to skyrocket. You're squeezing the people who were trying to short the stock between a rock and a hard place and forcing them to absolutely hemorrhage money, like you were squeezing water out of a soaked sponge. While the dumpster fire raged, the initial Redditors who touched it off were clutching onto the stocks they bought, refusing to sell at all costs. They would use the term diamond hands to refer to the fortitude it took to not sell the stocks they bought under any circumstance, to clutch onto them tightly like unbreakable hands made of diamond, the hardest natural material on earth. They wanted to watch the investors burn in the bed they've made for themselves, damn the consequences. Holding onto those stocks and refusing to sell only made the stocks rarer, exacerbating the fiasco. Edit. Might be too little too late at this point, but some updates to this story from the comments below. It seems that the squeeze itself hasn't actually occurred yet. Even long after the press has left the scene, this is still an unfolding story. Those deadlines that were supposed to cause the stockholders to lose untold amounts of money have, on paper, supposedly passed, but those clever investors aren't in the big leagues for no reason. They seem to be using all sorts of loopholes and deference tactics to hold the line, in addition to getting bailouts from big partners to stay shored up. I can't speak to what any of these tactics are in specific, that's admittedly out of the scope of what I know about this event. But for anyone wanting to know what those cheeky Redditors are up to and how they made off with all this, the answer seems to be that those diamond hands are still holding on. It's a game of chicken to see who will back down first. Edit 2. At least the above is what some people claim. Apparently this is all some real conspiracy-laden shit. I don't know what to believe, and if this comment is your only education on the matter, don't take my word for it. And tread carefully around anyone down below who tries to tell you about it.